Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld.
Geek Homeworld. Around the Homeworld.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. I am your host, SavageTechman, aka Ed. And this is a special episode for those of you who are in love, those geeks out there that are enjoying everything about the geeky world, but enjoying it with someone else who holds a special place in your heart. So I just compiled, and this is not a comprehensive list. Your list may be different, and anyway, this is a list that I came up with, and these are my top 5 geeky romantic movies. So just check this out and tell us what you think at Geek Homeworld. Give us your feedback on this and anything else you want to talk about on the podcast. So we're going to start with, in no particular order of importance, but one of my all-time favorite movies, Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back. And there is the eternal love story that flows through the Force, even after the death of a major character in this wonderful love story. But the love story in The Empire Strikes Back of Han Solo and Princess Leia, now General Organa. Well, we know the famous part in Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo is about to be put in carbon freezing, and Leia says the famous words, "I love you." And Han Solo responds, "I know." His original lines, in case you didn't know, were supposed to be, "I love you." Basically, I love you back. But Harrison Ford asked George Lucas, he said, that's kind of not what Han Solo would say. And so being kind of the smuggler, no pun intended, Han Solo said, "I know." And that's typical Han Solo. And we know about their relationship. We know about their childish millennial emo. Nothing against millennials or emos. Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. And we know how that all turned out, unfortunately, and broke a lot of fanboys' hearts. The death of Han Solo. But in life and in carbon freezing, Han Solo and Princess Leia had an interesting dynamic. They started out where she was kind of the uppity, goody two-shoes princess who was not afraid to fight, and Han Solo was just kind of swashbuckling, kind of throwback to someone like Errol Flynn back in the early days of movies. He was just Han Solo. He was just a cool guy. He didn't want any attachments. He didn't believe in an all-powerful force that binds the whole universe together. But he did believe in love, and he believed in Leia, and a wonderful relationship that they had there, the sexual tension that went on through Empire and all that, and blossomed into an interesting relationship. I kind of think later on that Leia was really involved in building the Republic, the resistance against what became the First Order after the fall of the Empire. and Luke went off to do whatever it is that Luke went off to do, which we'll find out in episode 8. And in light of things with the passing late 2016 of Carrie Fisher, and knowing that episode 8 that's coming up is the last time we will see her on film as Princess Leia, it just lends a lot of poignancy to the love story of Han Solo and Princess Leia. Now, number 2 on my list here, and like I said, this list is in no particular order of favorite to least favorite or vice versa, but a film that stands the test of time for me, especially if you're a gamer, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Scott Pilgrim, played brilliantly by Michael Cera. He's in this band called Sex Bomb, and I know I'm saying that wrong. And he falls for this character of Ramona Flowers. And there are so many like cut scenes and references to old video games, old school ones, even 8-bit kind of animation within it. And to prove his love for Ramona Flowers, Scott discovers the catch of it all is that he has to defeat her 7 evil exes. And I know this is based upon a comic book series or graphic novel series, and I could pop it in right now, the Blu-ray, and watch it or stream it and totally enjoy it, pick it up anywhere. One of the first evil exes, he's fight dancing with them, and he's like, "Did you read my email? I sent you an email." And he's like, "I skimmed it." And they're like, no. One of the people that almost steals the movie is his friend Wallace, and Wallace is just, his cut scenes where he just, is in a scene are hilarious, and it's just an all-around great cast of people and some brilliant filmmaking. One of the best kind of geek-centered movies that I've seen in recent years, and it still stands the test of time. Of course, with any good video game, there's a boss battle, and that is with Gideon, who is the 7th deadly boyfriend. You have so many stars that make appearances in there, and one of them is our vegan evil deadly ex, played by Brandon Routh, which is so hilarious. And we also have Chris Evans in there, future Captain America in the film, and he's one of the exes, and he's just like, he's awesome. He's just hilarious in there. So if you've not had the privilege to watch Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, you will love it. Why is it a geeky romantic movie? Easily because Scott Pilgrim, the entire time, the entire premise of the movie, in fact, it may be one of the greatest geeky romantic movies. And the fact is, he is totally pining over Ramona, and there's one point where she changes the color of her hair one day, and Scott's like, "I don't know if I can trust a girl who changes her hair color every day." And Scott's sister, they have to bleep her out because she's always cursing. It's hilarious. But check out Spot. You can check out Spot Pilgrim versus the World. I'm not sure what that is, but I would suggest you check out Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and you'll thank me later for that. But Michael Cera, awesome movie. Now, another geeky romantic movie, probably one of the greatest love stories in all comic books, in all science fiction, is the romance between Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Clark Kent, obviously Superman. And this part that I'm really focusing on, and I know it's top 5, but I'm counting these as kind of one because it's the same relationship. But Superman the movie and Superman 2. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in so many incarnations of who Superman is with, and even when he got together supposedly with Wonder Woman, which I'm kind of torn on that, because for me it'll always be, Lois and Clark. Just like the Adventures of Lois and Clark. That's just how it should be. But in Superman the movie, after Lex Luthor, played brilliantly by Gene Hackman, he sends like 2 different missiles in 2 totally different directions. One heads towards the East Coast and the other one to the West Coast to the San Andreas Fault. Superman's able to stop the rocket heading to the East Coast, but he's not quick enough to be in, 2 places at once. Therefore, a earthquake ensues because of the rocket crashing in San Andreas Fault, and that causes this massive earthquake, and Lois Lane ends up getting killed. And there's a sequence where Superman just speeds away in just a rage, and you hear Jor-El saying to him that it's forbidden for him to interfere with human history. But in this rage, he flies around the earth in the opposite direction and turns back time, thus saving Lois. And the rest is history, an altered history. And then in Superman 2, Superman gives up his powers to spend his life with Lois. Of course, later he gets them back because he's got to fight those 3 supervillains, including Zod. Terrence Stamp plays that role brilliantly, owns the role. And then there's this kiss where Lois totally forgets Superman's true identity and anything that happened between them. It's very convenient, and it's kind of a little creepy if you think about it in hindsight, but and that's a power I don't ever recall growing up seeing that Superman had that ability. And but I guess maybe he's got a little bit of mind control in there, and we've seen differing incarnations of Superman's power over the years in the comics and otherwise. But Superman and Superman 2, 2 very strong, character-driven Clark Kent, Lois Lane relationship movies there. Gotta give props to that. Still love those movies for what they are and in the time frame that they represented. Now, number 4 on our list, and once again, not in any particular order, Spider-Man 2. And this is from the Tobey Maguire trilogy. Now, in the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, we see Peter Parker fawning over Mary Jane Watson every possible way. And probably like a lot of us did in high school. And some of us should have did better. But in Spider-Man 2, we get that famous upside-down kiss. And that became the trademark of that trilogy. In Spider-Man 3, we get the tension when Peter Parker gives Gwen Stacy the same upside-down kiss right at this parade that's honoring Spider-Man. And this is kind of before he was going to propose to Mary Jane. So, that doesn't go well. Definitely not a smart move at all, Spidey. I guess he should have used his boyfriend Spidey sense, and maybe he would have figured that out. So anyhow, an interesting list of what we have here, and there may be movies I've left out that are kind of geeky. But this last one in our top five in no order, was a fun movie from a little ways back, but it was just a cute movie and starred no humans other than, of course, the voice actors, but Wall-E, and it starred Eve and Wall-E, and then these two robots. It's kind of set in the future, and Wall-E is a trash compactor robot. Eve is a vegetation evaluator robot, and Wall-E is pining over Eve, and they have I'd say one of the gentlest romances. It's a fun and awesome couple. Their engagement together, as their interaction, I should say, is just really nice, and it's really sweet. It's a great family movie, and it delivers on a lot of levels. And it's just, if you want a fun kind of no thrills, well, it does have thrills in it, but if you want a really good, solid relationship movie that turns out well, that doesn't have a lot of explosions and supervillains getting in the way, like Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, or General Zod in Superman 3, and Ursa and Lore, or Mastermind Lex Luthor trying to blow up the half of the country. And if you're not trying to battle 7 evil exes, or if you're not trying to fight an entire empire, then maybe Wall-E might be the movie for you. So let us know what you think about our top 5 geeky romantic movies. And I hope you go and rewatch them. Go ahead and stream them. If you've got the DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever, pull them out and watch them. And most of these are pretty much family friendly for most of the family, so you can check them out together. It might be something fun to do for Valentine's Day. But, just because it's Valentine's Day, actually when I'm recording this, it still doesn't mean that you can't celebrate the one you love. And especially if you're a geek. So anyhow, hit us back up at Geek Homeworld, and hopefully you're checking out the podcast. I'm sorry we've been away a little bit long. I've actually been working as a production assistant, a new career change that I've made, and studying to be that, and working in sound, and working towards being a sound mixer, and some other opportunities that have been presented to me, and the sky's the limit on that. So I can't tell you how excited I am about all that. I have been promising a couple of interviews that were coming, and it's just been getting into this part of 2017, which I couldn't believe we all made it through 2016. What a interesting year. But if you'd like to check out some of our back catalog episodes, you're going to hear a lot of fun things that we talked about. We've got a lot more coming in 2017. Please bear with us. There may be a few episodes in the next month of February, March. Hopefully I'll get out episodes on a more consistent basis like we were doing, but things have been highly busy. They've been a lot going on, several different projects I've been working on, and some other things. I'm looking at some very fun things we can do with the podcast and going forward. So if you have any ideas, if you just want to shoot us a line or whatever, our Twitter handle is at Geek Homeworld. So at Geek Homeworld, hit us up there, and we'll talk soon. And thank you, and don't forget to be a geek. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes, see us on YouTube, be part of our Mixlr chats. Thank you. See you again on the Geek Homeworld podcast.